Welcome to Disrupted Science, the occasional conversation between the authors of the book How the Internet Disrupted Science, now available wherever books are sold. I'm Kent Anderson, here with my co-author Joy Moore, and today is Wednesday, August 26th, 2026. Hey, Joy.
Hey, Kent. How's it going?
It's going well. The weather's cooling off. I gave a book talk on Monday to our local library, and that was fun.
Yeah.
So it's feeling very, very back to school season.
Yeah, it's getting back to school season here, so I'm trying to line up my local college and public library talks.
Nice.
Yeah, just, talk to the people about the stuff and see if it resonates. Did you find that uh what you talked about at your local library resonated with the people
Oh,
who
yeah.
showed up?
Yeah, definitely. It was a good crowd, and I was kind of at the end of an hour. I'm kind of like, okay, can I go now? And they're like, no, we want to keep talking. I'm like, well, I'm not going to read the book to you. But yeah, it was a really good crowd. They stayed the whole time, and we got invited onto a podcast as a result. And so,
Mhm.
it's all good. And again, talking to people, it's amazing how what we're going to talk about today is on their minds, which we'll get to in a minute. But just the whole people are so tired of big tech and so worried about what's going on and connecting dots that are quite easy to connect, but they're, in their busy lives are still like, I'm connecting these dots and this is not good. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And we're doing this in the wake of two things that just happened this morning. Facebook announced a settlement with in multiple states and behavioral changes, platform changes that they're going to be making as a result to settle that big
Oh.
lawsuit against teens or hurting kids and teens and psyops against them. So
Okay, I haven't seen that yet. I was out touching grass this morning.
touching
So,
dog heads.
and dogs, yeah, my dogs and I were touching grass. So, what does that mean? They need to they've been adjudicated into changing their business practices and
Yeah, yeah. So it's a $17 billion over 10 years. So it's a slap on the wrist. It's a parking ticket for going in and, messing with and scaring kids. It's like if I ran into a daycare here locally and got a $10 parking ticket, I'd be shocked. But what was interesting is that they have to make all sorts of platform changes because they have to
yeah.
detox their platform, basically make it so that endless scroll stops and between certain hours their things go shut down, and they won't have any more vanity filters on things to make teens feel terrible about how they look, because every teen with a few exceptions feel terrible about how they look. And so, it's another indication that we're moving into what will probably ultimately be articulated as regulations.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. Because like you said, the parking ticket means nothing. But
Mhm.
if they have to unplug some things in the platform, that's going to hurt their their revenue and in a
Mhm.
way that most of us don't even understand, but it's definitely part of their value as a
Mhm.
company is
Right.
all these side effects of terrible algorithms and
Yeah, they wouldn't be
monet
there if they weren't making money.
yeah, and
Yeah.
monetizing everything that they can. So,
Yeah.
well, let's watch this space, see if they actually do it. If they do,
Yeah.
what wow,
We'll
if
see
I
what
were them,
happens.
I'd be like, I'm just not going to do this anymore. I'll go do
Yeah.
something else. Please go do something else.
Right. Well, it's on theme because today we want to talk about what journal publishers can do to start their digital detox. So it seems like society is starting to do some digital detoxing. Bill Gates also came out with an essay early this morning about how AI needs to be regulated. And so let's talk about what journal publishers can do to start their digital detox. All right, so if you're looking to start your digital detox, in the near future. We
Are
have
you?
some,
Yes. Are
so
you
we
ready
have
to?
some rec.
Okay. So, the digital detox is a journey, and you can start with us. I'm just we
It's
believe me, we're not going to sell you any supplements or snake oil.
no,
But
it's a
what we
lifestyle
are going
choice.
to, it's a lifestyle choice, and you are in charge of your own life.
We
And
are here at no, they're not. We're here as their lifestyle coaches. We're going to be your digital detox life coaches today.
okay.
And so strap in as we slowly don our fake expertise in this. But it's actually we have some expertise in this. So we have a chapter in our book called Trapped in the Tech Shrine. And the reason we wrote that is that from the early days of digital publishing until today, it still goes on.
Mhm.
Tech vendors have been central to business and editorial strategies. They seem to be advising on things that they really don't have any business advising on and getting tech in places where in a more in an upside down manner. It's like they get to put things in places that it's like why did anybody let that happen? So it leads to questions about who's in charge here, right?
Well, I, to defend myself as one of those people, yes, tech was a big catalyst for helping us figure out how to do things in different ways, and we took a lot of cues and clues from the broader internet and how we designed interfaces and thought about not only just the business models, but also the potential to use a lot of consumer web
Oh yeah.
ideas at the time.
Yeah, the
Um,
mantra at the time was your customers
yeah,
spending 99% of their time on other websites and yours should look like those.
right. And
Hmm.
but I just need to point out that was 15 whole years ago.
Or 25 or
Or
something.
25. But
Yeah.
most of it I think has been, 15 years.
Yep.
That was the time where we built these tools, these interfaces, the we must connect,
Yeah, Facebook got the patent on the news feed in 2010,
yeah,
so
we
that's about right.
must we must optimize everything. We spent a lot of money and a lot of time figuring out how to make sure that scientific content got to the big tech platforms.
Hmm.
And it's funny thinking about it now, but that was like a long time ago. Like what else, what other platforms are still like the same as they were 15 years ago?
Hmm.
None of them. The big ones have just gotten worse, and we can talk
Hmm.
about that in a minute. But
Yeah, so we spent all this time aligning with big tech platforms and making it so that we could feed into them because the attention economy was the overarching kind of embrace of everything. It was like we had to compete for attention in the attention economy. They were the places where most of the attention was corralled. And so to find a way to integrate into those or to integrate those into our worlds that was viewed as virtuous, right? That was a virtue
I would say, I wouldn't say virtuous, but I would say hopeful, right? And I think the
or
biggest
required. Yeah.
or FOMO is
Hmm.
really
Right.
what it was. It was
Right.
founded in FOMO.
Hmm.
Um,
But now we've moved to today, and we're living in a world of tech backlash, right?
mhm.
We have, a younger generation that is protesting, suing, feeling the pain of all of this stuff. We have big tech oligarchs running rampant all over our governments and society at large. We have data centers being built, and the resistance to those is becoming more organized and more effective and bigger all the time.
Mhm.
We have techno-authoritarians like Elon Musk and others parading around and drawing a lot of ire from people and a lot of worry. We have the litigation we mentioned at the beginning, where various lawsuits are moving against a number of tech companies, and those are going to continue. There are AI There's AI copyright litigation going on. There's social harm litigation going on. And then it's all in the context of a lack of regulation. So all of this activity is happening without adequate taxation, without clear regulations. And so people are having to really rally themselves. But it feeds this spirit that I think scientific publishers need to appreciate, that imposing more tech, it's probably not a good time to do that, and it might be time to pull back.
Yeah, the data center, the well, I should say the AI data center
Hmm.
backlash has
Right.
been kind of one of those really interesting things to bring people together in
Yeah.
ways that they never would have before. And of course, data centers have been around forever. I held a client meeting in a data center
Yeah.
because it was so cool, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
data centers are cool because that's where your stuff is, or
Right. And they are
but
kept cool, literally.
yes, they're kept
They're
very
very
cool.
chilly. Yep.
Yeah. And so the traditional data centers have been around since we've needed data to be kept cool.
Hmm.
But this next generation of we're gonna get rid of your wetlands, or, be in your backyard and things like that. People are really like, why do we need this? And these are the AI data centers. And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of parallels there, you know, in terms
Yeah.
of there's like things that you need to do business as usual versus let's, invest in a future perfect and wipe out other goodness as we
Right.
do it.
Right. And we spent a lot of time making all of these platforms and templates and these things to carry the higher costs of digital publishing, because the people are expensive to hire to do it. It takes a lot of them. You have to continuously run old content and new content simultaneously. You have to often resurface it, renew it again with different DTDs or XML schemas or whatever. But the goal is set it and forget it for as long as possible, because that's how the economics work. So that introduces a certain amount of not wanting to not wanting to open Pandora's code box,
Hmm.
which is a little bit of an issue, because then it's interesting to me, and it hadn't occurred to me till we got to this point of the conversation, that one of the virtues of Sci-Hub was that people could just put in a DOI or an article title and pull down a PDF.
Hmm.
And they kept saying that's all I want.
Yeah.
So we have these
And
big built out
when was that? What year was that?
about 2010.
Circa a long
Yeah,
time ago. Okay.
circa a long time ago. But it's one extreme, and then you have the other extreme where you have, AI companions and, all these fancy widgets and, attention economy things littering the site and all of that. And so somewhere in there is a happy medium. I think we're probably it's time to move a little bit more toward the simpler and the more stripped down.
Yeah. Well, before we get to that, because I have a lot of thoughts on the stripping it down,
Hmm.
where what I'm seeing, and maybe you are as well, is the chasing the AI, and rather than pulling back and getting to, what do we really need to do? Everything that I'm seeing is we need to invest in more metadata. We need new identifiers. We need to make sure that the ISSN system integrates with the AI
Hmm.
people. I
Hmm.
mean, it's just more, more, more. And everybody seems to be talking about going deeper
Yep.
and creating more digital fingerprints,
Yep.
fairy
Digital
dust
webhooks and things like that.
for
Fairy dust. Exactly.
stuff that is being imposed from the outside.
Yeah.
Um,
Or chase just to for the joy of the chase. I mean,
Well,
sometimes
because yeah, because the,
it's
the
cool to chase this stuff,
yeah, and we
right?
got a lot of smart people in this industry who need smart things to do.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah,
not
but
this.
it it gets the amount of so one of the most interesting sort of statements about data centers is, what if you took all that money and put it into the school system? What if
Hmm.
you took all, so there are choices here, there are trade-offs that are being made.
Yeah.
And I think what you're getting at, in my mind at least a little bit, is chasing all of these webhooks and fairy dust and all of that. What if you actually put that money and that effort into understanding your customer
Hmm.
or making your website comport better with their actual use cases or starting exploring or beefing up your editorial operation? You know,
Yeah.
what if
Or
there are choices you're making in those pursuits?
exactly. It's a P&L is a P&L. You can, rework the balance sheet as any way you like. It
A
just
budget is a
depends
moral
on,
document. Yep.
yeah, it just depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah. And so I think, we have to talk about how tech kind of distracts from substance in science because like you were talking about AI in the workflow, there's a lot of big business hype around that. I just wrote about it this week about, JAMA going bananas about AI and an editorial written by people with a vested interest in more AI in healthcare. And then the AI, Nature had an article about AI detection.
Mhm.
And, you rightly raised the point of, so what? If someone used AI, it doesn't mean you pitch the article. Maybe the article's fine. And a lot of editorial teams would take the article and completely revise it and edit it into shape. And, the claims it would not be the same article. And, that
Yeah.
why does it matter?
Yeah, I mean, it's a form factor thing. Okay, I mean, is it right? Is it good? Does it
Right.
serve your audience? Great, publish it. Who cares how they made it? Like, we don't go back and interrogate every bit of technology that went into.
Do you use spell check on that, Joy? Oh my gosh.
Oh, I know. Wait, yeah, they could have.
We have to invalidate you.
Actually, you had a typo in your post this morning. But
Hi, that was
but
that was for our mutual friend who will if I have so I always want to hear from her, so you know who it is.
yeah,
But if you're that person, you missed a typo so far. At least I haven't heard from you. But
yeah,
the
but
best example was the Scholarly Kitchen, which was a source of scrutiny about AI use for that Nature news article, and
yeah.
they were
Can you
making
can you walk that back? Because that was
yeah.
so last week, and I forgot about
I know, so I'll walk it back. So,
it.
so I through emails and whatever stumbled on a Nature News investigation that was underway into AI use. I had posted something where somebody on the Scholarly Kitchen had done a post I didn't like, so and it seemed weird, and so I ran it through an AI detection thing, and it came up like 99%. And so I posted on that, and then that led to an email from a reporter at Nature News. And oh yeah, we're doing an investigation into this and that and the other thing. And Scholarly Kitchen is, a lot of their posts are showing evidence of AI use. And you and I started talking about it, and you're like, well, so what? Who cares? But then they put up a post last Friday or the Friday before, I forget. But it was by a yoga instructor,
Mm.
certified yoga instructor,
Oh yeah.
who had had put a preprint, tried to get a preprint on SciArchive, and they rejected it. And then she got it on SocArchive, and she admitted to using AI to help write it. And then she put a post on the Scholarly Kitchen as a guest post to say, "Oh, this is terrible. I get bounced gatekeepers, blah blah blah. I have new ideas and new thinking, and that shouldn't be shut out." And she used
Mm.
AI to write that.
Hmm.
And I'm like, hey, it doesn't matter that she used AI. She's doing a pseudoscience grift, and the Scholarly Kitchen has been hook, line, and sinkered right into it.
Yeah.
And whether she used AI or not, it doesn't matter. The preprint servers shouldn't be
Hmm.
posting things about downward facing dogs.
It's
And
crazy though that it's come full circle.
I
Is
know.
that now the pseudoscience people are complaining to the science people that they can't get their pseudoscience published in the places that they want to. What are we even talking about now?
So, but what we were talking about was AI use,
Yeah.
which again is the distraction. It's
Yeah.
like
That
all
has
of these
nothing.
distractions. It has nothing to do with science. It has nothing to do with
Who cares how she wrote
incentives.
it? What the heck is she doing at this
Yeah, what is
party?
she? Exactly. You don't belong here. You're the one thing that doesn't. That's not like the others. So, it's we're all distracted by tech, and AI is right now a big distraction on the editorial front, and we need to just stop it. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
if you don't edit something, if you're just posting it and it's garbage, that's on you.
Hmm.
If you do accept it and you get fooled, that's on you. You know, it reminds me, I've been watching a lot of baseball, and they have the pitch zone and the challenge rules and all that now.
Yeah.
And I love how it works, but I was talking to somebody and they're like, "Well, why don't they do that all the time?" And I said, "Because if you can fool a hitter and an umpire and a catcher as a pitcher,
That's the
that's
game.
a good pitch. That's a good pitch."
Yeah.
And but that's their game. Our game is you got to get everything in the strike zone. So, but whether it's a curveball or a splitter or a fastball, it doesn't matter what kind of spin you put on it. What matters is it's science, right?
Yeah. And is it
So,
science for the publication that you are
right, is it
supposed to be
relevant?
shepherding? Yeah.
Exactly. So we're really distracted by that. I think the publication teams are very distracted by AI boosterism generally
Mm.
and going to all sorts of meetings about that. So, yeah, it's just,
Yeah, and all the guidelines and this, that, and the other is, we talked about this before. Like how much how much AI can you sprinkle into your paper and what kind of paper? It's like, what? What?
yeah,
By the time you figure it out, there's going to be a new one. So let's just move on.
right. You can always just reject it, right?
Yeah.
But that gets back to the incentives, which are more important than the AI use. And that's what it distracts us from are these meaningful discussions about are the incentives right? Is this right for your audience? Is this acceptable on a conflict of interest front? These issues of substance that,
Yeah. I mean, that's true. And to be sure, it's easy for you and I to say, well, just reject it. But for probably thousands of editorial folks who are working within publishers who are trying to do their jobs and publish as much as possible towards their incentives, which are to expand the portfolio, to grow the publication rates, to grow the income. It's not so easy. And I just wanted to take a moment to say we totally understand that. But it's not your fault.
exactly. But then we also have, let's talk a little bit about platform widgets and gizmos.
Yeah. So that's my jam. Um, so a lot of what is driving this attention economy and the integration with tech platforms comes from when we were designing the user experiences and the interfaces um, and the features. I don't know if you remember back in the day, you're looking for a platform, there's a feature checklist, boop, 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 boop,
Hmm.
boop, boop, and that's how you decide who to go with. A lot of those features were um, modeled and frankly copied from the consumer web at the
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
Zappos. If you look at Zappos and you look at faceting of what kind of shoe you want from what manufacturer and things like that, we use that on journal articles.
Yeah.
Amazon, people like you also read things like this? Would you like
Mm-hmm.
to read this other thing?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and also the ones that really make me so furious today because they are so persistent everywhere is the most read,
Mm-hmm.
the leaderboard of what
Right. The
has turned out to
listicles.
be junk
Mm-hmm.
listicles.
Yeah.
And they are persistent and they
Yep.
are meaningless. And so all of these things were came about from a good place of exploration. And if we can use this technology, if we can use these interface prompts, we're going to learn more about the users, meaning the scientists, the
Mm-hmm.
researchers, the authors are
The
going to get a
students. Yep.
benefit from, yeah. And so all of that was in the context of let's use this tech to capture data, and then we're going to learn from it, and we're going to help journals be better.
This was the era when we used to use the words digital natives too, didn't we?
Did we? I don't
I
know.
think so. Yeah, that phrase did not. I'm
It
glad
didn't
that one
age
got
well.
retired pretty quickly.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Anyhow, but yeah, so it turned into kind of bloatware, though, didn't it?
Yeah, because it became part of the platforms, and every platform is different. Some are more standardized. If you go to a big kind of industrial, mostly library facing platform, if you take one feature off, it goes off for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one kind. But the others, there are nuances, and there are not good ways to make big changes that would affect everyone. And that was designed on purpose. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you're a special journal and you're going
Right.
to get a special website just for
Right.
you, you know,
Bespoke.
and we're going to bespoke it. And so what we're talking about today is we might want to unbespoke some things.
Mm-hmm.
We're not saying that everybody needs to take everything off, but taking some things off are really, in our opinion, in the best interest of publishers who want to right size their their portfolios.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things you talked about is there was this big um, seductive power of digital data, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that you would have all these widgets and you would get all this data exhaust. And you would then be able to analyze it and have magical insights into your customers' preferences, their future needs, their behavioral traits, their psychosocial relationships, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of came up empty in a lot of ways for a lot of very complicated reasons. You know, my experience was you would have very good analysts. You would have data that seemed for a minute to make sense and to explain something. But then as soon
Hmm.
as you started to ask harder questions or try to puzzle it out as to its actual meaning, things started to fall apart pretty quickly because there was a superficiality to it that you couldn't rely on to make really big business decisions. And I just there were what I always saw, the best data I always saw related to sales
Hmm.
and to money. And then you knew that there was something real happening. So if you went and got like a digital marketing A/B test or something like that, and that's hardly technologically driven, but you would use technology to execute it, and you saw that B outperformed A by enough to make it a meaningful difference, you went with B, and then you did another A/B test where B became A and something else became B, and you kept at it. And then you would check renewal rates and subscription rates and price points and all that stuff. That all made digital made a lot of that faster and easier to execute
Hmm.
because you could target things. You could have emails go out with different offers and things like that. But analyzing basic web data became that one never. I never saw the real huge benefits of that.
Yeah. And so listening to you describe that, a couple of things is you're talking about you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your brain and the resources within the companies that you worked for.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that makes total sense. But once you get the data is being produced. You can slice and dice it however you want. You can, turn it into new campaigns. You can use it to redefine your strategic plan, all of these things. People need to use, you need to hire people who know how to use that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next step beyond the analysis is, does this even make sense for our organization or this publication? Is
Right.
it worth investing in mining this data exhaust
Mm-hmm.
just because it's been produced? What does that mean to us?
Right.
And what are we going to do with it? And some organizations are using that. But I think most of them aren't. But part of the going back to the FOMO is if we don't have this data, then we're going to be,
Right. We'll be at
we're going to be
sea.
left out.
Yeah.
But the moral of the story is that not very many scholarly publishers are using this data in order to grow their membership, to grow their revenue, or to boost the visibility of the specialty that they're representing. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's a lot of back end exhaust that's stuck in the garage.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think over time we've seen a lot of those initiatives kind of fritter away. But so that's another thing is to look at is kind of what, as you detox, what data do you really need to make decisions, and how much can how often do you need to look at it? Because I remember one of the things that somebody came in very excitedly and like, our users are mostly sharing on Facebook, and I said, because our users are mostly over 40. So, okay, thanks. I didn't really need that, but thank you very much. But
Well, that's a good example. So let's get a little bit more specific about what we're talking about in terms of data exhaust and the types of things that we think publishers could unplug as part of
mm-hmm,
their detox.
mm-hmm,
So we're talking about integration with uh, third-party platforms.
mm-hmm,
Which third-party platforms really mean anything to you,
right,
and which ones are just there because,
mm-hmm,
particularly the big tech ones. Um, we're talking about trying to m- move your users into other content on your platform, but more importantly, on other platforms who have said if your users see this information, they're going to like it more.
mm-hmm,
Do they care? I don't
right.
know.
And do you want that?
And do you want that?
Right. Because I think one of the things that we have to factor in is, science and scientific and scholarship, scientific publishing and scientific pursuits and scholarly pursuits. What part of the reason people download a PDF so quickly from your site and leave is because they need to concentrate on it.
Well, no,
And
because yes, because I mean, because it's a paper that prints
right,
out well and they can read it.
right.
Yeah.
And they can read it
It's not a
without the
tech,
distractions
it's
of
not a
all
tech
these.
decision. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, how much, if you were to look at your sites and look at your platforms and your pages and say, is this helping, is this aiding concentration? Is this reducing distraction? Is this reducing temptations to leave? And there's a fundamental issue with reading on screen anyhow at any length. But that's the kind of, there are ways to do that. Like I would think one of the things that I think would be great is if you had a button instead of download the PDF, email me the PDF, right?
Yeah.
Simple change, workflow that people are familiar with, and they would do one click and they wouldn't have to do download and then go find it in a file folder and, blah, blah, blah. and go through whatever kind of,
I really like
routinization, but
that
also then
idea.
it would encourage people to share their email address with you if you have free
Right.
content.
Yeah, and
And
that
it's just solutions.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There are little tweaks, right? You don't need to burn the house down and try to reinvent the business model and all the tech that goes with it. There are little bits of friction, I think, that can go a long way. And so
Yeah,
that's a really good one because I'm a huge proponent of I don't care what you charge or don't charge for your
right.
journal articles, but you should know who is reading them.
Hmm.
And if somebody can't take the time to tell you who they are to get a free PDF, then
Right,
why do you care?
right.
Well, I do know why you care. It's because that content is being monetized outside of your
Right.
platform by
Beforehand.
people who are doing other things with it. And
Right.
so,
Yeah.
but
But yeah, I
you're
mean,
not getting paid for that. So
right,
why?
right, right. But
Yeah.
why not get, why not understand your audience a little bit better
Hmm.
with us and with something, you give them something,
Hmm.
and so I just think that, that's perfectly, if you go through and kind of look at your site and your tech from your user's point of view, instead of from your tech vendor's point of view, maybe you'll have some eureka moments where you go, actually, why do we have that there?
Hmm.
Why doesn't that behave in a way that would actually be a little bit more convenient? Or why don't we eliminate those distractions, a split page view or something like that? So, and then the other temptation that happens a lot because there always has to be more tech,
Yeah, because that's
because that's how tech vendors make money, by offering
right.
you more tech, that
Yeah.
there's a lot of over engineering for edge cases or for
Hmm.
what ifs. And that gets back to your FOMO thought, right?
Hmm.
What if you have people who need it translated into this, or, have one, use this kind of, I remember when back in the days of Palm Pilots, it's like, what if Palm Pilots turn out to be the next big thing? It's like, well, that would be amazing. And it didn't happen, but it gets
That
back to
was
there's a, oh, go ahead.
that was the biggest tech quote I got. It was to put a book on a Palm Pilot. And it almost like everybody at Blackwell's brains exploded. Um, we didn't do it, just so you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And there a lot of what is sold is if you don't have a real use case for it, it's almost vaporware.
Yeah. There's yeah, we were talking about this yesterday. There's always vaporware, right?
Hmm.
And that's what the beauty and the curse of tech is that something could happen if we implement these new things and that's curious and that's
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah.
But at the same time, some of these platforms, and I will liken it to my mother's Honda CRV that was the worst model. Um, the interface is terrible. I do not know and I do not care how to change the radio station because it's awful. But I'm stuck with that car. I'm not going to get a new car because of it.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of the platforms in scientific publishing are in that era.
Yeah.
We've created these dashboards. We have these features that are not user friendly, that are no longer relevant to the business. Um, and and the next model that comes out should take them away
Hmm.
because nobody likes them and it's too expensive to fix.
Well, and you're hitting on something that is happening, and that is that automakers have registered these dissatisfaction with these touch screens and everything else, and they're moving back to dials and clickers and switches and tactile interfaces because people want to keep their eyes on the road, and they want to
Hmm.
be able to turn up and down the radio volume without looking, and they want to be able to turn up and down the air conditioning or heat, the temperature in the car without looking, and they want to be able to, you know, use a turn signal without looking, and they want to be able to know how to put the car in
Yeah, and they
reverse
don't
without
need
thinking about
something
it,
to go bzz if you like go
go out
across
of a
the,
lane.
it's like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like I mean, it's all about, I think what it comes down to is like remembering that there are human drivers of all
Hmm.
of these things. There are humans who are looking for papers, who are writing papers, who
Exactly.
are doing research. Why are we putting all these bells and whistles in front of them? It's not helping the users. What it is helping is to um, change the conversation from the core business. What are we doing? Who are we doing it for? Why are we doing it?
Hmm.
Into how are we doing it and how are we connecting with these big tech platforms and what are we going to do if we can't, you know?
Right. And
So
what's the
it's
next big thing?
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we would urge you to reconnect with your customers, reconnect with your core purpose, reconnect with your product, and then look at your technology again and the stack and the bespoke features and all of that, and kind of go, huh, maybe we should cool it a little bit and start detoxing because society's taking us there. They're asking for it. There's a general movement. If you read the room, it's kind of like, yeah, let's just simplify, maybe keep it simple, sweet cheeks, right?
Yeah, because when you do that, then you have more control. I
Hmm.
mean, the going back to the data exhaust, we've been through that. We know that more data doesn't mean more intelligence. It just
Right,
means more data. So
right.
go back to what you understand, what you can control, and how are you serving your readers, your authors,
Yep.
and everything else, just unplug it, you
Focus
know?
on what matters. Agree. All
Hmm.
right, let's move on to our discoveries of the week. All right, so discoveries of the week. Joy, you're up first.
All right, so I had a really good discovery this morning. It's a long one, and I encourage everybody to come along for the ride. But I'm going to start with a teaser because we were talking about some stinky things in Chicago this week. Did you know that the origin of Chicago means skunk town?
I did not.
It does.
Hmm.
Yep. It's a Native American adaptation of people showed up there and said, this doesn't smell right.
This town's full of skunks.
So, but that doesn't mean that skunks are no good. And I listened to a wonderful podcast this morning from the ever amazing Allie Ward
Hmm.
ologies. So she did a two-parter on skunks. And she had a wonderful scientist as her guest. And he runs the Institute for the Betterment of Skunks and Skunk Reputations.
Hmm.
And just to go like full circle in the end, basically, the skunk should have been our national mascot because they stand for everything that's good about um, freedom and and resilience
And nonviolent confrontation.
and nonviolent. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then also they do give the magic formula to de-skunk yourself or your pet. So I don't know if
Hmm.
you've ever have to had to
Oh,
deal
I've
with
had to
that.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not tomato juice.
No.
So yeah,
No.
they talk they
It's
get
an
into the
enzyme, isn't it?
well, they get into the chemistry of thiols and things like that. So do not use water because
Hmm.
that's going
Spreads
to
it
make it
around.
worse. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so
Good to.
anyway, I recommend taking a break from stinky things on the internet and learning about skunks from Allie Ward on her Ologies podcast.
Those are always fun. And yes, I for a number of years I got the reputation of being the one at home with the dogs for a weekend or whatever when Kathy took the kids to some place for something family related. And I was back from a business trip and I'm like, I just want to stay home. And the dogs would get skunked.
Of
And
course.
that was my punishment. It's like, okay, you okay, you bagged out on a family trip and you now have to deal with skunky dogs. And I'm like, yeah, okay, fair enough. So, but anyhow, yeah. So I learned how to de-skunk them though. So
Mhm.
yeah, and also keep the grubs out of your lawn because
Oh,
that
does that?
keeps the skunks away because they're coming to your yard to get the
Yeah.
grubs.
Yeah. And then I was told years ago, like put mothballs where you don't want them to be
Right.
because they
Yep.
don't like that either.
They don't
Yeah.
like that. They have very sensitive noses, you know.
Well, right. I mean, it's we're in their nature, right?
That's
And so
true.
we need to say, go back to the other nature.
Yeah, that's
Leave us
right.
alone.
Yeah, that's right. Well, mine isn't stinky, but it's interesting to me in a way. So I love Boston's first album. You
Hmm.
know, I think everybody does who likes rock music. It's just a flawless end to end, pretty much.
Anybody who doesn't like it has something wrong with them.
Agreed. But but I was around when it first came out, and then their second album came out, and I remember reading a review where they're like, "It's just the first album, you know, sideways. It's not nothing new here, blah blah blah." And so I never listened to it. Don't Look Back is the title track, and I love that track. You know, that's a great song. But that was the only song I knew off the album. And then one of our guitarists was telling me, "Oh, he actually likes the second album better." And I'm like, "Well, I've never listened to it." So here it is, 30 years later or whatever, and I'd never listened to it. So I downloaded it and listened to it on the way home from a gig, and yeah, it's really good. It's really, really good.
Okay.
Yeah, and I there are definitely the critics were right in a way, but with this benefit of long hindsight, I can say that Boston reheats are better than most fresh meals today.
Nice.
So it's nice to have some fresh Boston. It was in
Hmm.
the freezer. I didn't know it was there. I heated it up and it was tasty.
Yep. Yep. It's marinated. That's great.
Yeah. And also, I didn't realize that Tom Schultz, the main engineer and guitarist behind it, he's also the keyboard player.
Oh, how does he
And
do
so if you
that?
ever listen to the organ solo on, I mean, there's Foreplay, which is the classic one, but then also on Smokin' off the first album.
Hmm.
And then he's got some stuff on the second album. And I'm like, this guy, it's like Eddie Van Halen was a big keyboard guy.
Yeah.
These guitarists who have this touch, they just know how to, how a fretboard and a keyboard work, and they're just amazing. So it's listen to that if you want to just have a good 5 minutes, go listen to the song "Smokin'" and listen to the organ solo on it. Oh
Mm.
my God. I hadn't listened to that in a while too, and I was just like, all right, this was serious musicianship. So lots of discoveries around Boston's music this weekend. So that was my
Nice.
joy. So all right. Well, that's it for us this week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to our friends at Provoke the Truth for the music. If you have topics you want us to cover, please email us at disruptedscience@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can also keep up with developments at the Geyser, where you can subscribe to support our efforts. You can find our book, How the Internet Disrupted Science, at a local bookshop near you or order it online. And thanks so much for the listens and the feedback.
Thanks so much. See you later.